Casino workers, what is the saddest thing you've seen? I worked at a casino over a decade ago, but here's mine. Somebody won a small jackpot, something like $2,000. When checking her ID for tax paperwork, it was discovered that she had put herself on the state's problem gambler self-exclusion list, which meant the casino was obligated to remove her from the building without paying. She wouldn't have been allowed in the building if she had been recognized. While double checking, the manager downloaded an updated list. We auto-checked against a local copy that was sometimes a few days out of date, and it showed that she had removed herself from the list with sufficient notice, so the jackpot was paid out. She proceeded to put every penny of the jackpot back into the slot machine, and also made a couple visits to the ATM. And at the end of her stay, she asked the cashiers if she could be put back on the self-exclusion list. I didn't personally witness it, but in late 1999 I helped open the Motor City Casino in Detroit. A month later, an off-duty police officer lost everything and blew his brains out on the floor. Ex-casino worker here. I saw way too many people spend ridiculous amounts of money on gambling. I've seen little kids asleep in chairs outside the casino floor cause their parents were busy gambling. A gentleman had a heart attack at a poker table and other gamblers were hissed cause we had to stop the games so M's could come. Saddest one though was a lady who wanted to cash a check made out to the electric company. She wanted to know if she could scratch out the company name and write in the casino name. I told her we could not do that. I spent a lot of time in the casino. My dad had a gambling problem. It's sad to watch your hero fall, but he pulled himself out and away from that. But the things I've seen a blind Chinese man come in with his bodyguards to help him gamble. I've seen couples blow their entire money and just stand there looking at each other half in tears. I sat next to a woman who lost it all and just couldn't bring herself to get off the chair because reality wasn't setting in. My dad used to really hit it big, and once he would make me play on one machine and he plays on the other. His was losing and mine started winning big. I got shoved off that seat so fast. I don't miss that place, it's full of greed and misery. I'm not a casino worker. I was at a bar on the casino floor and an elderly man in a suit and hat sat down a few seats over and started talking to the bartender. They made small talk and then he mentioned that his wife of 50 years had died of cancer a few weeks beforehand. He said they never had kids and not many friends. So he took all the savings they had and came to Vegas to have some fun until the money runs out. Then I'll be going home to be with my wife. Bartender never followed up on it but just kinda let him drink. I just awkwardly kept scrolling on my phone. What do you even say to that? Way too many in 10 years of dealing table games. I've seen people lose a lot of money until they cried at my table. People sitting at machines and being there the next day. I came to work smelling like actual shit. A regular always brought her disabled kid in a wheelchair and put them next to her while she gambled for almost a day each time. I had a guy who clearly had dementia at my table and even with complaints they still allowed him to play. He could barely make hand signals and kept forgetting we were in the middle of hands. It didn't help that he was tipping the beverage server well, so he got massively overserved alcohol. Reports on these people should have made it so they couldn't continue doing this stuff, but it never actually changed anything. The worst was a few tables away from me, a guy's girlfriend was trying to get him to leave and he got so hissed he tried to choke her to death right at the table. He ran from security into the woods behind the casino and killed himself. My first December working in the casino I'm still at. I was on a blackjack table and a guy sits down and drops $1,565 on the table and tells the dealer, "My family's about to have a great Christmas or no Christmas." 20 minutes later it's gone and he asks the dealer if she's happy with herself and how well the casino has to be paying her. Never saw the guy again. Our casino is 95% repeat customers, so I wouldn't be surprised if that actually was his Christmas money. I was driving cross country for work and stopped in West Memphis for the night. Went to the casino to burn a few hours. On my machine I saw a lady playing slots with tears running down her face. I heard her scream and looked up to realize the machine hit zero and she started bawling uncontrollably. She was screaming that she had nothing left and to please have her money back. Got removed by security. I hid for $150 and cashed out, but the walk to my car was terrifying. I'm not a target demographic for mugging, but the desperation on people's faces was noticeable. Never going there again. Not a casino worker, but still a sad story. Managed an apartment portfolio decades ago and one of the properties was in Vegas. Keep in mind that this was before the days of paying your rent online. We had a zero cash collection policy, but the manager of the property told everyone it was lifted for the month to help boost our collections. The perfect storm happened on a Friday that aligned with a lot of paydays. She collected about $80K, roughly $150K in today's dollars, in cash for rent and then went to the casino and put it all on red. Her thinking was that she would double it, then deposit the $80K on Monday and nobody would ever know the difference. She did not win. Monday comes around and I see that the money didn't get to the bank, so I call the property. Nobody has seen the manager. Alarm bells immediately ring in my head. I fly to Vegas. We eventually found her at some dude's house and called the police. So stupid. One of the saddest things I've seen was a regular patron who had clearly lost more than just money over time. He'd come in frequently, always chasing his losses, and it was evident that his gambling habit had taken a toll on his personal life. Over the months, he became more withdrawn, and his clothes and demeanor showed signs of neglect. It was heartbreaking to watch someone lose not just financially but also in terms of their well-being and relationships. Not a casino employee, but I used to work at a bank. Had a customer asking about something on her account, so I was reviewing her statement and saw these frequent $2,000 withdrawals at the casino nearby. In the one statement I was looking at, there were over $10K in withdrawals, and this customer's total account balance was somewhere around $60K. I started going backward in her statements and found she had sold a house and received something like $700K less than a year ago, and had steadily gambled it almost all away, month by month. It was one of the most depressing things I saw there, which is saying a lot at a bank. My mom works at a casino. She was walking through the tables and a guy in front of her pulled a gum from his pocket and shot himself in the head. The gum landed a couple feet from her feet. This made me think that she's never really mentioned it since. I should probably check to be sure there's no lingering issues. My dad was a security guard at a casino for 15 years and he's got stories. When he started working there, the chairs at the slot machines were made of cloth. They had to change them to vinyl because people would not get up to go to the bathroom and they would piss and shit all over the chairs. People would sneak their kids into the hotel in luggage when kids aren't allowed in the hotel. Others left them in the car in the parking garage. One guy took a loan out against his house to gamble and lost it all. He dropped dead in the casino. People would literally spend days gambling in the same clothes. People would beg for money at the exits of the highway for money, pretending to be homeless and use the money to gamble. I could keep going at it. The casino my father worked at did not allow kids on premises, period. If yours does, then ducking good for you. Worked valet at a casino. One night we got the car and they dropped it off, left the keys in. Normal here. I hopped in to move it and it smelled like death. I moved the car and informed my super. He called the cops as it was the smell of a decaying body. Cops came and we opened the truck. Full of groceries. From 4 months ago. In the Missouri summer heat. It was chicken. They came to claim their car and were told to not park here in valet again. They said the person who normally carries their groceries up to their second floor apartment left and they don't have anyone to help them anymore. So now they go to casinos and eat out every night. They didn't have money to do this. No idea where it came from. I will never gamble or go to a casino after working valet those years. Many more stories. You wanna hear about the guy who looked at mashed potatoes with a label that said mashed potatoes and then looked me dead in the eye and said, "What is this?" while gesturing towards the mashed potatoes? American accent. White guy. How has he never seen mashed potatoes before? This was in 2008 and it's stuck with me since. Or about the guy who literally lost $125,000 and the casino gave him a hotel room and a free buffet meal. He was quite an unhappy customer. Not a casino worker, but I saw a woman stage an impromptu intervention on her father at a blackjack table. Was playing at a table with all veterans at Potawatomi in Milwaukee. We were all doing well except this one guy who was playing table minimum and losing. But we were laughing and taking and having a good time. This guy losing is sitting to my right. A woman comes up on his right and grabs him by the shoulder. She says, "I knew I'd find you here. You said you were going to get groceries." "How'd you even get here?" he says. "Your uncle brought me." Cue to her uncle waving to her from a table over. She says, "You have kids at home relying on you. How could you do this again?" "Come on, we're going home," he says. "Ole, fine, but I'll just come back later," as he cashed out like $30 and sulked away. As if on cue, the 5 remaining guys at the table push their chips in and cash out. I still think about that family 15 years later. I was at the casino one night and a guy was on a decent tear. I saw him hit a bunch of jackpots in the $1,200 $3,000 range. I would say at one point he was up about $7,000. He was tipping the floor people who handed him the money like $100 here, $200 there for each jackpot he won. I went there with $1,000 to play with, and at $2 a spin I was there for like 5 or 6 hours. I watched this guy just absolutely tank. He went from machine to machine, putting in hundreds and hundreds into each machine. He was not some high roller, just a normal dude. Just as I was finishing up, with about $750 to take home with me, one of the floor workers went up to him and this was the conversation. "So I see you're having a run of bad luck right now. I would really hate it if you went home with less money in your pocket than what you gave out to us." He said something like, "Oh, I'll get it back, don't worry." Within 10 minutes he was at the ATM taking out another $1,000. Then again at the ATM taking out another $1,000. Then again about 10 minutes later taking out another $1,000. Dude left about the same time I did, having given out around $1,000 $1,500 to floor workers as tips. Losing his initial money he came with and at least another $3,000 on top of that. I walked to my car a few minutes after him and he was smashing the steering wheel of his truck and screaming. I lived in Vegas for 6 years. All my jobs except for the last were in casinos. I've seen some shit. The tamest is at my first job we didn't work directly for the hotel, just leased space there, so we could cash our paychecks at the cage. One payday, one of my co-workers cashes his check on a break, hits the tables on his way back, comes back 20 minutes later having lost it all. And this wasn't minimum wage either, it was a tattoo shop and he was an artist, so we're talking a check for thousands of dollars. He just laughed, and at least waiting a couple weeks to do it again. Second job not gambling related, but I worked at a nightclub in one of the casinos. Some girl in line to get in the club was already drunk off her ass and popped a squat and hissed and sheet right there in line. Like, full on diarrhea all over. Third job was for a casino downtown. I would start my day walking the property, including the casino floor, and end it that way as well. I'd frequently see the same people on both walks, sometimes days in a row, and each time they looked worse and worse. It was awful. Edit, this was secondhand but it comes from my last non-casino job driving for Uberlift. Picked up friendly older guy, don't remember where I took him but I think he was local. We started talking about gambling, and he told me about a friend of his. Former cop, retired and moved to Vegas with his wife. Within 4 months his $400K pension was gone. It was a miracle his wife didn't leave him. A lady came to my casino on a bus day trip. She never went home. She gambled until everything that she had was gone, and then she sold her house to some shyster and gambled that money. The last time I saw her, she was begging on the sidewalk. Never found out what happened to her, but I never forgot her. It broke my heart. I tried to talk her into going home, but she was either into the early stages of Alzheimer's or dementia, and nothing would get through to her. I live in a city with a lot of casinos. I've been 3 times. I'm 34. I only ever play about $40. I figure that with the free drinks, I'll almost break even. I came up once and cashed out $400. Another time $200. Then the last time I lost the entire $40. I've been heartbroken ever since and refused to step foot into a casino again. I also sat next to an elderly Chinese man who was playing $1,000 a hand blackjack. He lost $40k while he sat and watched. I will never step foot in another casino. I worked a whole host of positions in casinos over the course of 6-7 years. In that time I saw a lot of really funny, really sad, and really frustrating things. The one that hurt me the most was seeing the father of one of my high school friends coming in over the course of the years. He started showing up every now and then when I was 19 and had my first job there. He was an older guy, late 50s early 60s, but still pretty healthy, had a lot of money, drove a nice car, had a nice house, even owned a small plane that he flew recreationally. Slowly but surely he was coming in more and more frequently though. He started gaining more weight. He was looking more pale and sickly, drank almost constantly. It turned out that his home situation was going downhill fast. He and my friend, his son, had a massive falling out, and eventually his wife left him and took their other daughter with her. He had nothing left but his money and himself, and even that didn't last. He was never winning anything and had to have lost millions in that time frame. He was in the building for days at a time without moving from his machine. Because of that and the amount of alcohol he was consuming combined with the lack of sleep, aging body, and constant second-hand smoke exposure, his health was quickly plummeting. He was always nice and happy to talk to anyone, but even that didn't last as he started snapping at every little thing and not interacting with anyone at all. I left that job years ago, but every now and then my family will go back to that same casino and see him at his same machine looking like a husk of his former self. Even now that sheet is heartbreaking to me. Gambling addiction is a dangerous, horrible thing, but you never really realize just how bad it is until you see someone you've known your entire life driven to the very brink by it. I've only been to a casino one time. Coming into the casino I saw a man playing a card game and someone told me he had $150,000 worth of chips in front of him. At the end of the day when I was getting ready to leave, the same man was at the bar begging for bus fare to get home. The bartender told me he had even given his car to someone in exchange for cash. After that day I never set foot in a casino again. I had a customer walk up to me as a slot attendant, with 4 quarters on his open palm. He asked if I had any idea about any machine that might be ready to pay out. He explained he had driven a little over 2 hours to get to the casino and this was literally all the money he had left. He hadn't bothered to fill the gas on his car and it didn't have enough to get him home. Best I could tell him was one particular bank of machines had had several decent payouts, but that was about all I could say, as even slot attendants don't have much idea when any particular machine was going to hit. I got called off to another customer. I don't think he even won enough to buy some gas. Obviously everyone at the casino is trying to win, but the sad truth is people are addicted to losing. The high comes from the anticipation of the win, not the win. That's why people don't leave when they win. I used to do shows at casinos and I once watched a guy blow through $5,000 at a craps table in under 30 minutes. He was making big bets and pushing to keep his bets working even without a point being on. It was sickening to watch him lose so much so quickly. I was up doing simple bets and I paid close attention to his bets to learn what not to do. A few days later at another casino I watched someone blow through $20,000 in under 30 minutes. He looked like he could afford it, but the look on his face indicated he could not. Former casino worker of 20 years. I've seen a lot of things, but this one stands out to me. I was the games manager on shift and there was a lady in her 40s playing blackjack. She had been there a few hours and had made quite a few trips to the ATM and her binds were getting into the thousands of dollars. I was doing paperwork in the pit when a dealer called me over while the lady was on another ATM trip and said she was crying just before. I kept an eye on her and after she lost a few more hands I could see the tears start and she was silently crying while playing. I went up and as discreetly as possible, asked her if she was okay and offered help through our partnered addictions help program. She looked me right in the face and got mad at me for asking and told me she's fine and to leave her alone. She was making staff very uncomfortable at that time, and it was obvious she was crying more and more as she continued to play and lose. I made the decision to ask her to leave for the night and camped her cab ride home. I tried again to offer her information to organizations to help with her gambling again, but still not interested. Addictions are heartbreaking to see, and I really hope she was able to get help. I'm not a casino worker but have gambling addicted parents. I live on the Gulf Coast. My parents live in the Midwest. My daughters are 2 and 4 and they only recently met my parents for the first time very briefly in a casino lobby, only because my parents have gambled so much at MGM they offered to fly them down to Biloxi MS and give them a hotel and a bunch of free plays. After we put the kids to bed, my wife told me to go down to the casino and have fun. I think I withdrew $150 to play a few slot machines and basically spend some time with my mom and dad. It was around 10:30 p.m. and my machine hit for a little over $1,500. I hit the collect button and said to my mom, "I'm done. I expected to lose all the money I brought here and I'm going to use this money to compensate for the trip and buy some new clothes for my daughter's upcoming school year." My mother became upset and said, "It's only 10:30. Live a little, and you're on a hot streak. I bet if you continue playing you could turn that $1,500 into $3,000. I said no. My kids will be up at 6:30 a.m. and I can't afford to lose sleep, stay out late, and the probability of me being able to win 10x the money I came here with itself is way more than I could have asked for, and the probability of me winning more than what I have already won is way less odds. I'm taking my chips and cashing out." My mother then had some choice words with me and became unhinged, saying things like, "There you go with that math sheet. My major is in mathematics, computer engineering, OHH. Look at you, so educated, and you know how all these machines work." Sheet was hurtful. This is why I hate casinos. They destroy people. The only plus side is when my parents do pass away, they won't have anything left because the majority of their wealth has been transferred to the casino. Thankfully, both my sister and I are very successful, and in reality, sorting out their estate will be more of a burden than a windfall.